The invitation sat on my desk, its gold-embossed lettering catching the morning sunlight streaming through my office window. Celebrating 35 years of love. Join us for the anniversary of James and Diana Mitchell. I hadn't opened it yet, even though it had arrived a week ago. I already knew I wouldn't be welcome. I'm Olivia Mitchell, though my family rarely acknowledges the Mitchell part anymore. At 32, I'm the black sheep of the family, not because I'd done anything wrong, but because I'd chosen my own path instead of the one they'd prescribed. Ms. Mitchell? My assistant's voice crackled over the intercom. Your mother's on line 1. Perfect timing. I picked up the phone, already knowing what this call would be about. Hello, Mother. Olivia. Her voice was clipped, formal. I assume you received the invitation? Yes, it's sitting right here. I ran my finger along the envelope's edge. Though I'm surprised you sent one, given our last conversation. About that. She paused, and I could picture her sitting in her pristine kitchen, perfectly manicured nails drumming on the granite countertop. Your father and I have been discussing the guest list. We've decided to make it a more intimate celebration. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Intimate? You mean you're uninviting me to make room for Brandon's new girlfriend? Brandon, my younger brother, was the family's golden child. His revolving door of girlfriends were always more welcome at family events than his own sister. Don't be dramatic, Olivia. It's just that with the venue we've chosen. The Rosewood Estate, I finished for her. Dad's dream house. The one he's been trying to rent for the party. Silence on the other end. Then, how did you know about that? I smiled, though she couldn't see it. I make it my business to know things, Mother. It's how I built my company, the one you and Dad pretend doesn't exist. The Rosewood Estate was more than just a venue. It was a sprawling mansion in the most exclusive part of Greenwich, Connecticut, with manicured gardens and a view of the Long Island Sound. My father had been obsessed with it for years, ever since he'd first toured it at a charity event. He'd tried to buy it multiple times, but the owner had never been interested in selling. Well, yes, Mom continued, flustered. The Rosewood only accommodates 100 guests, and with Brandon's new friends from the club. Say no more, I cut her off. I understand perfectly. The daughter who built a successful real estate investment firm from scratch isn't as important as your son's latest golf buddies. That's not fair. You know how hard this has been for us, accepting your choices. My choices. Like choosing to drop out of law school to start my own company. Like choosing to build something for myself instead of joining Dad's accounting firm. Like choosing to be independent rather than living off my trust fund. The party's next Saturday, she continued. Perhaps we can have a quiet dinner sometime after. Don't bother, I said, my voice cool. I have plans anyway. The real estate market keeps me quite busy. After hanging up, I sat back in my leather chair, looking out over the Manhattan skyline. Mitchell Investment Properties occupied the top 3 floors of this building, my building. We specialized in luxury real estate acquisitions, though my family didn't know that. They thought I ran a small property management company, probably managing strip malls or apartment complexes. I pressed the intercom. Jessica, get me Marcus from legal. And pull up everything we have on the Rosewood Estate. 20 minutes later, Marcus sat across from me, spreading documents across my desk. The owner's getting divorced, he reported. Looking for a quick, quiet sale. The price is steep, $15 million, but given the market in Greenwich. Make an offer, I interrupted. Full asking price, all cash, close in 5 days. Marcus's eyebrows shot up. 5 days. That's aggressive even for us. Trust me, I smiled, picking up the anniversary invitation and finally tearing it open. The timing is perfect. The next few days passed in a blur of paperwork and negotiations. My parents, meanwhile, were busy planning their intimate celebration, happily excluding their eldest child while fawning over Brandon and his latest girlfriend, a tennis instructor he'd met at the country club. I kept tabs on their plans through the family grapevine. Mom was obsessing over the table settings. Dad was bragging to his golf buddies about securing the Rosewood for the event. Brandon was planning to propose to the tennis instructor during the party, despite having known her for all of 3 months. None of them had any idea what was coming. The closing happened on Thursday, 2 days before the party. I signed the final documents in my office, then immediately had the locks changed at the Rosewood. The previous owner had been more than happy to cancel all existing event bookings, for an additional fee of course. At 6 p.m. my father's phone rang. Mr. Mitchell? The Rosewood's manager, now my employee, delivered the news we'd scripted. I'm terribly sorry, but there's been a situation. The estate has been sold and the new owner has cancelled all upcoming events. I could hear my father's explosive response through the phone line. Jessica had patched me in to listen. This is unacceptable. We have a contract. I'll sue. Sir, your deposit will be fully refunded. The sale was unexpected and out of our control. Do you have any idea who I am? I've been trying to buy that property for years. Who purchased it? I'll make them an offer they can't refuse. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to discuss the new owner's identity. Again, we sincerely apologize for any inconvenience. I could picture my father's face turning that particular shade of purple it got when things didn't go his way. He'd be pacing in his home office now, probably already calling in favors to try to find out who had dared to interfere with his perfect anniversary plans. Right on cue my phone rang. Brandon. Liv, he said without preamble. I need your help. That was Rich. The last time we'd spoken, he'd agreed with our parents that I shouldn't come to the anniversary party because I might make things uncomfortable. What a surprise, I said dryly. The golden child needs something from the family disappointment. Cut the attitude, he snapped. Dad's party venue just fell through. You run a property company, surely you must have some connections. Find us another location. Let me get this straight, I kept my voice level. You help uninvite me from our parents' anniversary celebration, and now you want me to save said celebration? Come on, Liv. You know how Dad gets about these things. He's already talking about canceling the whole party if he can't have it at the Rosewood. Sounds like a personal problem. God, you're still so bitter, he sighed. This is why we didn't want you at the party. Everything always has to be about you and your grievances. I looked down at the deed to the Rosewood estate, my signature still drying on the bottom line. You're right, Brandon. Everything doesn't have to be about me. I smiled. Sometimes it's about karma. Saturday morning arrived bright and clear, perfect weather for an anniversary celebration that wasn't going to happen. At least not where my family had planned it. I stood in the grand foyer of the Rosewood estate, supervising as workers installed new security systems. My phone had been buzzing non-stop for the past 2 days, texts and calls from various family members, all suddenly remembering my existence now that they needed something. Ms. Mitchell. The house manager approached. Your father is at the gate. He's quite insistent about speaking with the new owner. I checked my watch. Right on schedule. Let him in, I said. But only him. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I watched my father's Mercedes pull up the circular driveway. He stepped out looking immaculate as always in his tailored suit, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. The famous James Mitchell temper was barely contained. The massive front doors opened and he stormed in, stopping short when he saw me. Olivia. His confusion quickly turned to anger. What are you doing here? Did you know about this? Is this some kind of revenge for the party? I leaned against the marble staircase, enjoying the moment. Hello, Dad. Welcome to my new home. The color drained from his face. Your what? My new home, I repeated slowly. $15 million all cash. The previous owner was quite motivated to sell. He staggered slightly, reaching for the wall to steady himself. You bought the Rosewood? Mitchell Investment Properties bought it, actually. You know, that little company of mine you never bothered to ask about? Turns out real estate development is quite profitable when you know what you're doing. This is impossible, he whispered. You can't afford. Can't I? I pulled out my phone, opening my company's portfolio. Would you like to see the financial statements? We own properties across 3 continents, Dad. The Rosewood is actually one of our smaller acquisitions this year. He stared at the numbers on my screen, his face going from white to red. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you. I laughed. When would I have done that? At the family dinners I'm not invited to? The holidays where Brandon's latest fling gets my seat at the table? Or maybe at your anniversary party? Oh wait, that was too intimate for your own daughter. You did this on purpose, he accused. You knew we wanted this house. You knew we were planning the party here. Yes, I said simply. I did. The admission seemed to stun him into silence. You know what the funny thing is, Dad? If you'd bothered to take an interest in my career, you would have known I could help you buy this place years ago. If you'd treated me like a daughter instead of a disappointment, I would have helped you plan the perfect anniversary party here. We can still do that, he said quickly, entrepreneur's mind already working. Name your price. I'll rent it for today, pay whatever you want. I smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. Sorry, Dad. The property's not for rent. In fact, I'm having it renovated starting today. The whole place will be torn apart for the next 6 months. Right on cue, a construction crew began unloading equipment in the driveway. Dad watched in horror as they carried in tools and started laying down protective coverings over the marble floors. You can't do this, he pleaded. Your mother's devastated. Brandon was going to propose. We have 100 guests coming. 100 carefully selected guests, I corrected. None of whom are your eldest daughter. Funny how family works in your world, isn't it? His phone buzzed, probably Mom wondering why he wasn't answering her calls. Mine buzzed too, Brandon again, no doubt with another demand disguised as a request for help. What do you want? Dad finally asked, his voice heavy with defeat. Money? A public apology? What will it take to fix this? I stepped closer, looking him directly in the eyes. That's always been your solution, hasn't it? Throw money at problems, make grand gestures, then go right back to the same behavior. But here's the thing, Dad, I don't need your money. I don't need your approval. And I definitely don't need to fix anything. Then why? His voice cracked. Why do this? Because you needed to learn that actions have consequences. That you can't treat people like they don't matter and then expect them to be there when you need them. The front doors opened again and Mom burst in, followed by Brandon and his girlfriend. They must have been waiting at the gate. James, what's taking so long? The caterers are calling and... Mom's voice trailed off as she saw me. Olivia, what are you doing here? Standing in my foyer, I replied calmly. Which you're all trespassing in, by the way. Brandon stepped forward, his face twisted with anger. Your foyer? What kind of game are you playing? No game, brother dear. Just a simple real estate transaction. $15 million, clear title and full control over who gets to use the property. I smiled at his girlfriend. Sorry about the proposal plans. I hear the country club has a lovely venue available. You bought Dad's dream house just to spite us? Brandon's voice rose. Are you really that petty? Petty. I laughed. Petty is uninviting your sister from a family celebration because her success makes you uncomfortable. Petty is pretending my company doesn't exist because I built it without your help. Petty is what this family does every day and I'm done with it. Please, Mom stepped forward, tears in her eyes. We can talk about this. We can work something out. Like you worked out the anniversary guest list? I asked sweetly. Sorry, Mom, but this is going to be an intimate renovation. Family not included. The construction foreman appeared at my elbow. Ms. Mitchell? We're ready to begin demolition of the main ballroom. Should we start now? I checked my watch again. Perfect timing. Yes, please proceed. The sound of power tools firing up filled the foyer. Mom flinched as the first crash echoed from deeper in the house. You need to leave now, I said firmly. All of you. The security system arms in 5 minutes, and I'd hate to have to call the police on my own family. This isn't over, Brandon threatened as they turned to go. Oh, but it is, I called after them. By the way, I bought the beach house in Southampton too. You know, the one you've been trying to rent for Christmas? I think I'll have that renovated next. I watched through the windows as they drove away, their perfect anniversary plans in shambles. The satisfaction I felt wasn't about revenge. It was about finally standing up for myself, about showing them that their actions had real consequences. My phone buzzed one last time, a text from Dad. We should have listened to you years ago. I'm sorry. Too little too late. I deleted the message without responding. Over the next few months I did renovate the Rosewood, but not the way they expected. Instead of tearing it apart, I restored it to its original glory, adding modern amenities while preserving its historic character. I turned the grounds into a venue for charity events, supporting causes that actually meant something to me. The first event I hosted was a fundraiser for a scholarship program helping young entrepreneurs start their own businesses. I made sure the invitation list included everyone who'd been uninvited from my parents' anniversary party, all the relatives and family friends who'd been deemed not important enough for their intimate celebration. My parents tried to attend, of course. Brandon too. But security had strict instructions. The guest list was very exclusive. Very intimate. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. A year later, I received another gold-embossed invitation, my parents' 36th anniversary. This time, the venue was their backyard and the guest list included all family members, no exceptions. I sent back the RSVP card with a short note. Sorry, I have a prior commitment hosting a charity gala at my estate. You remember the one? That house you always dreamed of but never thought your daughter could own? Don't worry though, I'm sure it will be an intimate gathering without me. The Rosewood estate became known for its exclusive events, its beautiful gardens, and its owner who understood that true family isn't about who you include in your celebrations, it's about who you value every other day of the year. And if my parents drive by sometimes, slowing down to look at the house they lost because they couldn't see the value of what they already had, well, that's just another renovation project they'll never be part of. Success, I've learned, isn't just about buying the biggest house or throwing the most exclusive parties. Sometimes it's about showing the people who dismissed you that they were wrong. And sometimes, just sometimes, it's about standing in your own foyer, in your own dream house and finally feeling at home, family approval not required.